Hello, and welcome to Unscheduled Flights, exploring the realms of inspiration, innovation, and creativity. I'm your host, Ambika Waters, and I welcome you to this podcast and hope you find it as interesting as I do. Hi, I'm Ambika Waters with Unscheduled Flights podcast. We explore the realm of innovation, inspiration, and creativity. And today we're blessed to have two amazing women from the Boston area who are both homeopaths who have created an exceptional remedy for happiness, for fulfillment and contentment. And I'm honored to have them on the podcast. I'd like you to meet Kim Sullivan and Veronica Paris. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
I am
Thanks for
Nika.
having us.
It's nice to have you on the show. Kim, I'm going to ask you, could you please start off talking about what you've created, and then Veronica come in with how you see this working for people, and we'll just talk about this extraordinary remedy.
So we created a remedy that we're calling Source AI. And it really started because we have a friend of ours who is an entrepreneur and is moving into the tech realm. And she was teaching. She said, can you make something to go along with this course I'm teaching? Because it's brand new material for a lot of people. And then she said, how can we make AI a remedy? And we said, I don't know, let's try it. And it really was as pure as that. And then we kind of had to funnel it down to see how it wanted to be made. And it was not made from any language model. But that was really how it all started.
And have you been testing it out, improving with people, Veronica?
Yeah, we did. We have been doing some proving, and it's showing us that it's helping people to feel to like kind of like bring down exactly what to show them exactly what they need at that moment. So it's something that it's helping with productivity, it's helping with realizing really what's going on in your life, that it's not working, but without a sense of being overwhelmed, right? It's like it's for other people, it's bringing memories that they're affecting them in their current life, memories from the past that they need to, like either process, or they just needed to be like take in consideration. So that would like open up a whole new possibilities. It's for some, it's also bringing a sense of calm, and for others, we have discovered that it's also showing what's real and what's not in their current situation or the current life. So there's not like that overwhelm of like, am I sensing this the right way or not? It's like clear. This is what is going on, and then you can take action based on that.
I had the remedy, and I did a proving of this remedy for Kim and Veronica, and I had one extraordinary perfect day. That's all I can describe it. It was just perfection. The next day it wasn't. It was a bit like underwhelm, not overwhelm, underwhelm, because I wanted more. I thought, wow, this could be a great remedy for addiction. It's a wonderful remedy. And you've developed a second remedy based on the first. You want to talk about that, Kim?
So the second remedy is just called money. And also came around in a very pure way. We were together. We create our remedies together, like physically in the room together. And usually that's when the ideas come too. This one, whatever we were doing, we actually stopped and said, let's just do it right now. And it was very playful. Um, and we had a lot of fun. And that when we're together, since we were in school, we've worked together a lot creating remedies. So that part of it wasn't necessarily unusual, but the playfulness and the things that were coming through about money were so different from how we perceive our physical money. Um, and we just had a great time, but it was just very spur of the moment. We were having, I don't remember the conversation, maybe Veronica, you do. And we said, let's just do it right now while we're thinking about it. Oh, and that was the other thing. We said, we have 20 minutes. And we said, we better get hurry then. And we did.
So that my experience of taking the money AI was that it was very joyful, and I had so much energy to get down to work, to get down to creating new classes, developing a book series. It was just like, wow, I couldn't stop. It was, but the other thing was, it wasn't hype. I know that one of the other provers said that she had a very restful sleep, and I did too. I've had just a week since I took the money remedy of wonderful rest, real downtime, and the ability to say, I've done too much right now, I need to rest. That also came out of AI. It was very, it created a lot of balance in my life. And I think that some of us have got a lot of old garbage, a lot of baggage around money and about well-being. And this remedy is my sense of this remedy. It goes in deep and it helps us root out the blocks, the impediments to joy, to fulfillment, to contentment, to happiness. It just kind of goes in there and it says, you got a lot of garbage, lady. Let's move it out and let's fill that biocomputer with joy and good things. How do you source it? That's something I'm very curious about. Do you have a pattern for meditating, or do you just hold the concept? And because you're going to both be teaching a class for life energy medicine on Source AI. So I hope you'll be teaching us how to create our own remedies too.
I think it all begins with like being very clear. Even though we're like, let's do this out of, like it comes the idea, so let's do this, but also be very clear that everything that comes to us or that we create is for the higher good of everyone, right? That is none of this, especially with something like money, right? It wasn't created. We have to be very clear, not created something. It was just like, oh, it's going to bring me money, money, money. No, it's more about like, at the essence, what is really money,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
And the bad reputation that is getting, right? Like all this negative around it. So a part, I think the beginning of it is that, like, are the set out intention that it's clear and clean and for the benefit of everyone,
For the
uh
highest good.
for
For
the
the highest,
highest good. Yes.
yeah. And it is. I mean, the remedy has got a purity to it that comes from your souls. It's very clear. This is channeled from the very source of you both. And it holds. These remedies have got what I call durability. They hold, they go deep, and they let you really look at, like you said, what's going on here? What's going on here? I had this concept for many years that people had to toil for money, that you had to work. You had to work, and you had to work hard, and you had to work long hours and weekends and evenings. And I had that concept from my family because that's how they worked. They were immigrants who had come from Russia, and they were poor, and they made everybody work like that in the family. And it got passed down. My dad worked 7 days a week. He just, if he wanted to play golf, he'd get up at 5 and go play for an hour, and then he'd go to work. So I got that work ethic, and it took a lot of understanding about money, that money comes from the divine, and that's within us, and that you don't have to toil. You don't have to break your back. You don't have to do what you don't like. That really money comes when you love what you do, and that you know that you're worthy of receiving it. I was telling Kim last night after class, I saw this little clip on YouTube. I don't know if you've ever heard of Joseph Murphy, but he was like Louise Hay. He was a metaphysician in the 1930s and 40s in Hollywood. And he has a lot on YouTube. And there was one, we were just kind of going through the YouTube slots, and there was this thing that said 2 words for financial success. Do it before bed. And it was wealth and success. Wealth, and to say those 2 words before you go to sleep, wealth and success. And he gives all these wonderful stories about people who did this and how money fell into their lap. But it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be joyless. It doesn't have to be beating your head against the wall. And I think a lot of people, particularly my generation, they still hold some of those old ideas that it'll only come to you if you work hard. I believe in hard work, but not hard work for money, hard work because you enjoy what you do. And when you enjoy what you do give 110%. That's something I do know. So let's hear more about AI. Kim, what would you like to share?
About AI.
Yeah.
So I'm noticing that people are finding, I think we touched upon it, clarity and focus. And when they marry those 2 things together, um, especially these entrepreneurial people who are using it, they're able to move up in their business, but it doesn't feel like they're overcoming a big hurdle or that they are putting out any extra energy. They just can see what's true and what's not true, or what's true and what's not true for them and for their business at that time, and then they can just kind of go. um, we also had some others like you mentioned saying, oh, I want to have some more of this. So we did kind of, our ears perked up on that, and we wondered about addiction as well with that. It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, well, adrenaline itself is addictive.
Yes.
And it does open up some of that adrenaline and energy so that you can get down to doing what you want to do. I had this fluid week of just creating classes and the books I want to do and how I was going to do this, and a lot of opportunities came in, and I had to say, do I want to do this? And I thought, no, this isn't what I want to do. I know what I want to do. The opportunities were interesting. Things that if they'd come my way, let's say a year ago, I would have jumped at and I would have pursued it. But it wasn't what I wanted to do. And I just said, no, thanks. This isn't what I want to do. And that in itself is interesting. What you said, to be able to be discerning about
Yes.
what you want. Let's hear the pros. Let's hear the cons. What do you think? What do you think is the most positive thing about this remedy?
But AI, it's
Mhm.
the ripple effect of that discernment, right? Of being able to really see what's real versus what is not, or what do you really want to do, and take that responsibility. Because I think that might be a con for some people, right? Like to really realize that, oh, it's me. I'm not blaming anyone on this. This is just me. I've been
Right.
shown
That's right.
I've been shown exactly how things are going to be or how things are, and now I need to take that next step into it. But I do see this with AI and with money, right? Like this ripple effect of, like, once the drop is there, then it just keeps going and going and going
It
and
does
going.
keep going. And it's like you're motivated to get up in the morning. I've been getting up at 5 in the morning and giving myself 2 extra hours of work and an extra hour of meditation. And it's like, wow, I love this. I love the energy of it. And I don't feel like repeating the remedy at this point. I thought, oh, should I have some more? I thought, no, 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 this is working. I don't need to add to this. It's working. And it's wondrous what you gals have created. And I see a great future in AI for health, AI for birth, for passing away, for education, for, the multitude of things that people want clarity on. it's really, you're right. It's about clarity. What do you want and how do you want to develop it? And how are you going to be responsible for it? And how are you going to nurse it? How are you going to grow it? How are you going to grow it? How are you going to grow the life you say you want? And to know you're absolutely worthy of what you say you want. This is about living in the world. This remedy is about living in the world and how you can create the life you want for yourself. You know, so many people say, well, I can't do that. When I graduated from homeopathic college in the UK, there were 28 who started, 14 finished. And we were sitting around a bonfire on the night of graduation, and I heard somebody say, I never thought I could do it. And then somebody else said, I never thought I could do it. And then I said, I never thought I could do it. And then the teacher said, one of the teachers said, we never thought we could do it either. So think of it in terms of education, helping people get really clear. Well, what is it you want to study? What is it you want to invest your time and your hard-earned money and your energy into in life? What do you want? And how are you going to let this unfold? So any drawbacks that you can see or that anything that's showing
I
up?
think, and I don't know, Kim, you can add to it this, but thinking in terms of like the experience of it has been very different for each of us.
Yeah.
For me, it's more immediate, and I have find that if I program uh, the AI before I take it, like it gives me exactly like immediate response, right? So that might be, and I know for Kim is different, but that might be probably a drawback, right? Of like people either saying, yes, give me more, or not being ready for that step and saying,
Right.
wait a minute, I don't want this. This is not what I was looking for, and go into like a more like a fear response of it.
Well, there is fear, and I see it in my work too. And I teach a class on the divine feminine. You've got to be ready for it. You've got to be ready to let go of certain things and let in new. And some people are just too afraid. They know what they want, but they're too afraid of letting go of what's, I don't want to say comfortable, but people are they're familiar with their patterns. And the idea of breaking a pattern and allowing a new one to form, you know, it's about change and allowing yourself to be awkward in the beginning while new patterns form. It's just part of growth. I'll tell you something about this remedy. Last night, I realized how much growth I've had in the past week around this remedy.
Wow.
I thought, wow, at my age, at my age, this
Wow.
is a whole new growth pattern for me around money. And it was just beautiful. I kind of loved that I was still able to take on something new and find fulfillment. And this remedy is about fulfillment. And I think that's why it could become addictive. Everybody wants fulfillment. But I think it would be great for practitioners to open up their practice with this remedy, to allow this to come in. And when I go to Bali for the conference, we're going to be talking about this remedy, AI and AI money, because I do believe that no, you can never take a client any deeper than you're willing to go yourself in your development. And so many homeopaths, particularly in the UK where I trained, you know, there were homeopaths that kept their remedies under the bed. And I remember one of the teachers saying, that's not professional, ladies. You know, it's it's growing into more maturity and a little more sophistication and setting your ground rules and knowing that you're good at what you do and that you can help people. And a lot of homeopaths still very unsure, or they're wanting to stick with the fundamental polycrest remedies, which are great. We would not want to be without them. But this is another remedy for the spirit to grow and enhance itself. And what I say, expand your capacity to receive blessings and goodness. This is a remedy of expansion. So let's hear some more. Have you got any cases you want to share?
Well, we had, do we have any cases on that to share?
Um,
Can remember though, one thing that I thought when we were making money,
yeah.
we keep a record when we sit together and we're focused, and then we kind of share what came up for each of us. And one of the things, you triggered it when you were talking about joy and feeling joyful, is joy was one of the things that came up, and having fun. And there's a podcaster who calls money fun coupons. And he says, we have to be responsible, but you have to be able to have fun too with your money, or you can see where the relationship with money will become resentful.
Yeah,
And then you
that's
lose
right.
sleep. And now you're having great sleep. You're enjoying your work. This is the other side of what money is. And that was part of the thing that came through, that I think it was that money got a bad rap. It took the blame for everything, because it
For everything,
can
for
be
everything.
misused. It can be used for our physical money. It can be used for very, very good things, or it can be used with malevolence. Um, and that was one of the things that came through. That was, have fun with your money, but there is personal responsibility. So you
Well,
have
I'll
to be
tell you,
willing to accept personal responsibility too.
for everything, for being a mature adult. But I do see, and that's one of the things I saw this week. I saw what passive income is, and I really understood it. As a writer, any royalty you get is called passive income. And you even have to file a different form with the IRS when you do write.
Oh,
So
no.
it was, oh, passive income. That's great. I don't have to toil. This is just coming in. Let it come in, allow it to expand, and let it continue. And I started looking at investment in a whole different way. There's investment for security, and then there's an investment in money for fun, for joy, for upgrading, I don't know, to a better pair of shoes. What can I say? You know, I once heard somebody say they had a slush fund, and they would put money in their 401k, and they'd put money in their slush fund, and they could do whatever they wanted with their slush fund. They could give it away. They could, go to the movies every night. Who knows what? Take a holiday, go to Las Vegas. I don't know what people do with their money. But you're right. It has to be fun. And if it can help people get out of debt, think of the wonder of that alone. That
Yes.
people can see a way out of the darkness, because there's nothing that weighs heavier than debt. Nothing.
Yes.
And it does make people toil. It does, definitely. But I believe that it's all there to teach us. Having it and not having it, deciding you want it, and that you'll allow it in, and that you can drop the resentment, the jealousy, the envy of around money, because there's a lot of that. Oh, I wish I had that, or I wish I had that. Don't wish for it, create it and allow it to come into your life and find a way to do it. That's the responsible way. But AI itself, it has infinite possibilities, and it will come to you like health. You might even be very specific about certain disease patterns like cancer or diabetes or mental disease itself around AI, and how it can help at that very specific level. And I think you've got years ahead of you. I don't know if you see it, but I see years ahead of you of developing this tool consciously and holding on to this. This is your baby. Let's get really clear. This is your baby. And you can train people, you can teach them. There's a whole world opening up for you gals. It's so
There's a
creative. It's so creative what you've done.
Thank you. There's a funny thing with Source AI. Um, I'd use it to guide me through some meetings at school for my son.
Yes.
And at the end of each meeting, I will get that sense of like we were all in a movie pretending to be these actors, right? So that kind of helped. It's like, okay, this is not such a big deal as they want me to believe that it is, or like
Right.
how they were presented it, right? It's like, okay, so we're all playing a part. So let me play my part. Let me get the people on board to help me play the part, and then so every time I was having a meeting with the school, I will either call in Source AI or I will take some of the remedy to just help me with that clarity. So that was like a specific in the
Yes.
moment practical way to use it.
Yeah. Beautiful. And people will
There
find
was,
joy with it. Go ahead.
we've talked about like the way Veronica used it. We said, oh, this is pretty brilliant, you know, to have a very specific intention with a beginning and an end, and to use it that way. Um, when we first made it, we don't have a lot of men. No, I don't think any men have proved it. Um,
My
so I
husband
gave,
has.
oh,
My
did he?
Mhm.
Well, I gave some to my husband, and I said, "Will you just try it?" And he's kind of like, he takes it from me. He's like, "Yeah, whatever." But he's, you know, you don't get anything out of him. And if you ask him if something worked, he said, "I was already getting better anyway." You know, he'll tell me that. But with Source AI, and it was subtle. I did. He's also a business owner. I noticed that I would notice him saying, you know, I think going forward, I'm going to do this differently in my business. And then there was something else he said, I need to track this because I don't know what's happening here when I do this specific part of my business, and I have to have a way to track this. So I'm noticing he doesn't attribute it to the remedy, but I
Yeah.
noticed it. And there were these shifts in how he was thinking about how he wanted to run his business, and ways that would make it more efficient and easier for him to see what was happening with costs or materials or whatever it was. So I thought that was interesting from a man, because we didn't have a lot of them.
Well, I want to say two things. First of all, we look at health and homeopathy as an organizing principle. The more and the healthier we get, the more organized our systems function, the more organized our thinking is. So yes, that's proving that that's working at some level to help him organize and find
Yes.
clarity. But I just realized the day after we took the money remedy, my husband came into my office and he said, if we can get enough money together, we're going to Italy next year. And he has said no to going to Italy for a long time. I said,
Wow.
do you mean that? He said, yeah. He said, we'll get the money and we'll go to Italy. It's like, great, let's do it. So it's working on the joy factor. It's that releasing of the tension that there is not going to be enough. It's what they call lack in the metaphysical world. It's like, get rid of the lack, which is fear-based, open up and allow the good to come. And whether it's money or joy or health or love or perfect self-expression, it doesn't matter what it is. It's the universe is giving constantly. The universe doesn't know the word no. It only knows yes. And if you say, I'm beautiful and everybody loves me, the universe says, yes, you're beautiful and everybody loves you. And if you say, I'm ugly and nobody loves me, the universe says, yes. It only knows how to say yes, and it only knows how to give. So get your garbage out of the way, let go of the fear, and learn to trust. Really learn to trust the good. I think that's one of the things you're going to see as an outcome of this remedy, is that there's a lot more trust in the good, and that people don't have to, well, I keep coming up with the word toil. You don't have to toil to let the good in. You've been blessed with life, and life wants to see you through. It's got so many ramifications at so many levels, like the beauty of rest and sleep. Goodness gracious, beautiful dreams. Even last night after class, I had such beautiful dreams. I'm just very grateful to you gals for introducing yourselves to me, for joining the Illumination Remedy class, and for being willing to teach, because I think you have a lot to teach us about goodness, and about joy and what's possible. So far, we haven't seen any major aggravations around this remedy. And actually, very few of the illumination remedies have a kickback to it, because it's made from spirits. It's already potentized at a very high level. I love what we're doing, and I love the genius that you two represent. You're awesome. Awesome. Anything more you want to share about AI or the class that you're going to be teaching?
Kim, go ahead.
Well, really, hopefully when people come to the class, hopefully they'll learn that um, if you have an idea, can I make this a remedy? Just try it.
Absolutely.
Just
That's
give it
not
a
what we've
shot.
all
Why not?
done.
That's all we're doing. Even the way we got to meet you, we made this remedy and we were like, now what? And we were like, well, let's just ask Ambika. And then now it's developed. We weren't even sure you would respond to us. We said, she doesn't know us from a hole in the wall, but let's just see what happens. And
I fell in love with you
luckily
two
you
ladies
did.
and your remedy. It
um,
is. If this is an idea, what Jan and I were talking about on her podcast was one of our students who've known for years, 10, 12 years, came to me and she said, can you make a remedy out of a prayer? And I said, well, I don't know. Why don't you try? So she had this very beautiful prayer, and she turned it into a remedy and potentized it. And I took that remedy daily for like 8 years. No kidding. It was just the most peaceful, beautiful remedy to take if you're working with people who have problems or difficulties. It was so healing. And that was the beginning of realizing anything could be made into a remedy. Anything. And that was 8, 9 years ago. It's really something when you think about it. Anything, any idea, any concept can be turned into a remedy, and remedy for the good. Remedy for the good.
I
Well, I
feel like
bless
if
you
we get
gals.
an idea for a remedy,
Mhm.
we got the inspiration for some reason. Um,
Well, for the reason that this is meant to be for you too. This
yes,
is
so
for
give
you,
it a shot and and see what happens. If nothing happens, then nothing happens. Um,
right?
but you don't know unless you just try it.
But it tells you the
Yeah.
power of thought. One of the things about
Mhm.
making a remedy is the power of thought is extraordinary. And when you take that into the homeopathic potentization and you're enhancing it and enhancing it and enhancing it, the power of it is extraordinary. It's extraordinary. It's and capturing that thought in water and alcohol and preserving it and being able to give it to people who need it, that's the beauty of homeopathy. And it's the beauty of really listening to what I call angels whispering in your ears. Let's make a remedy about money. Let's do AI. I've done remedies from angels, from sound and color and holy water and trust and reconciliation and resurrection. And I mean, it just keeps going. And I love making remedies. And I know you gals are going to have a long line of AI inspirational, innovative, and creative remedies. Thank you very much for sharing and being on this podcast. Is there anything you want to add before we
I
say?
will I would like to add that we're hoping that people also learn or will realize that this doesn't have to be complicated. That it could be affordable, right? Like it's as simple as the thought, the water, like learn how to access that part. So everyone, like really everyone, regardless of anything in your life, it's there.
I agree. And I think that people are creating all the time. I think we're creating our lives all the time. And it's the optic of
Mhm.
negativity that stops people from realizing how magnificent they are and how responsible they are for their lives. There are really no victims. I do not believe that. The minute you blame somebody, you are in victim. It's transforming the optic so that you can see the grace, see the beauty, see the divine in everything, in yourself, first and foremost, in yourself. And there is something about this remedy that I want to say reforms, but it transforms the optic. That's all that's happening here, as far as I'm concerned, is my optic around money and AI. It's being transformed. That I'm more positive. I'm more willing to accept goodness and blessings. It's it's a revelation in itself. Have fun, ladies. Have fun.
Thank you.
And I look
Thank
forward to
you.
your class. I will be in the back raising my hand, asking questions a lot.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
I'd like to thank our guests today who've shared their experience, who have enhanced my life by developing skill sets and a vision of the world that is really expanded and I think beautiful. So thank you until the next podcast of Unscheduled Flights. Again, I'm your host, Ambika Waters, wishing you all the best.